Hi, my name is Atif Hussain, and here's my Disciplinary Literacy Project. For my project, I interviewed a man named Haywood Wardak, who is the owner at Limited Motors. He specializes in automotive sales and repairs. I'm going to first go over a shadow experience I did with him over the length of a few days. In this first clip, you can see a motor going back in a car which originally had a blown motor. They have to do a lot of diagnosis to figure out what was wrong with the original motor. And in this next clip right here, you can see the refurbished motor that's going back into the car. You have to be literate in building motors to make sure the build goes correctly. This was the old motor, which had a blown piston in cylinder number 1. This is a special tool that they use when building a motor. It's called a torque wrench, and you definitely have to be very knowledgeable to use that tool because it's very expensive and it's very specific. Over here, someone's replacing an AC evaporator, and to work an AC system, you have to be AC certified in automotive repairs. Here's just an example of another car that was in the shop for a tune-up and an oil change. Over here, there's some more diagnosis work with the car that has a no-start condition, and the technician has to make repairs on it. Here's a little bit of background information. All right, thanks for taking time after your workday to just quickly go with me. I know you. I've been shadowing you for the past few days. We're here at Limited Motors. Can you just quickly go over what you guys do here exactly?
Yeah, so this is basically like a three-part business. It's a group of businesses actually. We have detailing on this side. On the other side is where we do the mechanical repair, where we spend most of our time. And we also buy and sell cars. This one actually is a detail car that we bought, and we're going to be selling pretty soon. As soon as it's finished, being detailed. So cars usually come in. The ones that we buy goes through all the repairs necessary, and then they come here to get detailed, and then we put them on the lot.
Okay. So I want to ask a question about literacy. So
Sure.
we're pretty automotive literate. As you know, we're both AC certified. So can you go over some systems that we might know as automotive literacy, but someone normal might not know, to show that there's a difference in automotive literacy versus normal literacy?
Yeah. Well, for somebody who's mechanically inclined, such as you or myself, we would know what a starting and charging system would be, composed of. But for someone who doesn't, it's really basic. If you want to come over here, just so you don't have this blocking it. For instance, anybody who is mechanically inclined looks at that, that is the alternator. If you were to show somebody a picture of it, they'd be like, well, we don't know.
Yeah, just like the term, I feel like the term alternator as well, it's just, that's something someone automotive literate would know. Like you say alternator, yeah, it just clicks in our head, we know exactly what that is. But if someone comes in for a repair and we say, hey, your alternator is bad, they might know what we're even talking about, And it might be someone really smart, like a doctor, who's pretty smart in society, but yeah.
Exactly, and
that's what I feel like it is the difference.
Yeah, no, I mean a basic understanding of an alternator is that it keeps the battery charged and provides, power to the rest of the electronics in the car. A lot of people don't understand that. If the alternator goes bad, then the car runs off the battery, and eventually you'll just die out on the side of the road.
Okay.
And the thing is, there are a lot of systems in here that we can talk about: the cooling system, the air conditioning system, the power steering and whatnot. It all, there's a bunch of systems that come together, kind of make the car drive and whatnot. And then you have the electronics inside the car, the different computers, the body control module, the powertrain control module, climate control, etc., etc.
So this is all the stuff that definitely could be learned in high school, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
So and it would have to be like an automotive class.
Definitely.
Okay, and then you feel like you could relate anything else outside of automotive class to this field?
Outside of automotive, well, yes and no. Automotive is such a broad subject that it can be applied to many different topics, and you could have discussions about it and whatnot. But the one thing I like about automotive is it's very general, and it's a universal topic.
Yeah.
If you were to apply it to one thing, you could easily apply it to another.
For sure.
So
Yeah, so I feel like just some things I could think of is like physics. You know, there's definitely physics involved. A lot of
Right.
diagnostic stuff. You know, that takes critical thinking that you might have learned from another class.
Mm-hmm.
And talking to a customer as a service manager, I know like speech class help with that as well because
Right.
just explaining to customers what works and what doesn't work. I feel
Right.
like that helps as well. So that's what I like about this field. You know, mixing literacies and also being literate as well with automotive.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate you doing this, and then I can't wait for our interview.
Yep. No problem.
Thanks. So after conducting my interview and after shadowing, I did realize that automotive literacy is a literacy of its own, different than the concept of literacy that we learn in school in education. You have to know a lot of different things. You have the terminology is completely different. You can't just have one normal person on the street go apply an automotive job and expect them to just learn the whole industry. There's a lot of specifics, there's a lot of specialties, and I feel like high school does do a good job if you went to a high school that has a good automotive program of getting you ready for the outside field or like further education in automotive. But it's not always the case because in high school you always still have to meet like the minimum standards that the high school wants you to know. So from this experience and the interview I conducted, I I did learn a lot. I did learn that I would want my students to be ready for the actual world, what they do in the shop, and then seeing what they did in the shop. I saw a lot of people doing a lot of diagnostic stuff. I saw a lot of people doing a lot of detailing work, body work, you know, repairs, general repairs to major repairs like engine work. So you definitely want to make sure the students are automotive literate, know all the terminology, know all the specifications with motors and how everything works in order to get for them to get ready for this field, especially if that's what they want to do after high school. So now it is time for the interview. I want to warn you before you move on. The interview is 12 minutes long, so if you want to stop right here, you can go ahead. But I wanted to, I was gonna trim it, but I want to keep all 12 minutes in there because it was definitely good conversations. The questions I asked, I felt were good questions, and the answers I got, I felt were even better than the questions I gave. So, just to sum it up, automotive literacy is important. It's definitely different than the general literacy we know. It is important for students to know automotive literacy when going on into the real world. And from my shadowing experience, I got to see that firsthand how automotive literacy plays in real life situations. So please enjoy the video and thank you for watching my documentary film slash project for TCH 219. So how's it going? I'm here conducting my disciplinary literacy project interview. I'm interviewing Hayward Wardak. He is the owner and lead technician at Limited Auto Works. So I just want to start off with a few generic questions. So for high school, where did you go to high school?
High school in Hoffman Estates.
Okay. What year did you graduate?
I graduated 2009.
2009. And then after high school, did you have any like college experience? Or did you just get into the field?
I got an associate's degree at community college for business, and while I was pursuing that degree, I was actually working part time as a auto tech at a couple of shops actually.
Okay. And did you take any automotive classes or any other like tech-related classes in high school?
I did actually. I took electronics, where you basically get a basic understanding of electronics. I took automotive classes all 4 years throughout high school, um, and it helped a lot with where I am today.
Okay. And after high school, did you know? Sorry, did you know you wanted to be in this field, or did you like decide that later on?
I After high school, I kind of had a feeling this was my niche, and I figured, hey, this is something I like doing. Would be awesome into doing this for the rest of my life. Using my hands is something that I'm really well familiar with, and making a living out of it.
Okay. So, was there anyone else in your family that you know is into cars, like fathers or like stuff like that, or is it just something like
Just you just had a passion for it by yourself.
Well, my family did have, a hobby with cars, but they didn't take it to an extent that I took it at. Um, for instance, they're all, car guys and whatnot, but they didn't pursue the passion as to, you know, try to make a living out of it and make a life out of it.
Okay,
So,
gotcha. Okay, and in when you were in high school, did you feel like that you got a lot out of high school when it came to like automotive and other technology related courses, or
I did. Honestly, before even high school, the only thing I knew about cars is that I liked them. It, the, before I started taking those classes, I knew nothing about them. I didn't know what was what. I didn't know how cars worked, how engines work. I knew absolutely nothing. When I started my high school courses, it definitely gave me a basic understanding of how engines work, how brakes work, how suspension components work together. It was kind of like, every little thing that I learned made me want to learn more about it. So I'd like to say I grasped most of my, basic understanding and knowledge from my high school courses.
okay, for sure. Sorry, I'm skipping through these questions in a
No,
different order.
not at
Hope you
all.
don't mind.
Yep.
So, do you know what the term literacy by chance?
To be literate, to be able to read and write.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much, right? So, sorry, let's see. How is literacy conceptualized within your discipline of like automotive?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, to be able to read and write, I think is to have the ability to understand something and to be able to express it.
Okay.
When it comes to automotive technology and automotive repair, I think that you would have to have a decent understanding of, you know, how something would work. You should have. That's a really good question. You should have a decent understanding of how something works with another, like how one component works with another component, how they work together, how how just the basic understandings of it. I think that's probably my best definition of having automotive literacy.
Okay, yeah, I like that answer. Okay, so are there any specific cultural components attached to literacies within this discipline, or just in general with automotive?
Hmm. I mean, well, cultural, aspects of the automotive industry or automotive in general. Yeah, there are some cultural aspects. There are car guys everywhere. You would have, you would, you could easily have spark up a conversation with another car guy saying, hey, you're at a gas station. Let's say you're at a gas station and you see some guy with a nice car. You can go up to him. If he's a real gearhead, you can, say, you can talk for hours about your guys' cars or what's
Mm-hmm.
done to it. Yeah, I've got a supercharger. 200 shot nitrous, whatever. So there's definitely a cultural aspect. A lot of people, they connect. They connect with cars. There's all these forums these days. There's Facebook groups. There's definitely many car clubs. I'm still part of my car club that we were in high school, so I still talk to
Alright.
the same people. We have different cars now than we did in high school, but we still have the same connection.
Yeah,
So
for
there's
sure.
there's definitely a cultural aspect to cars. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that culture is different than what we view culture as in society.
Right. Right.
So that's nice. To finish up, I have three more questions. So I know we talked about in the other video while I was shadowing you about other subject areas that we use in the field. If you want to just briefly just state some. I know we said like electronics, physics a little bit. So is there anything else you could think of off the top of your head?
Yeah. So electronics definitely has a play in it. The wiring in the computer in cars. You're always having some sort of voltage going in, some sort of resistance happening and whatnot. That's also physics. A lot of people when they hear physics they think of gravity, this, and force equals mass times acceleration. No, and also, electricity is physics as well. And another thing is, um, the you have many systems in the car that requires physics. The hydraulic systems and brakes, that's 100% physics. From you pushing the pedal, forcing the hydraulic fluid out to, pushing the pads on the calipers, or I'm sorry, the pads on the rotors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's all physics.
Yeah, definitely.
Heat dissipation, you know, kinetic energy and turning into heat. That's all physics.
Okay.
You could also use chemistry too. Chemistry, you know, science related. You know, combustion. That's all chemistry. Energy.
Yeah, true.
Energy
Yeah, I didn't think
spark.
about that.
You know, byproduct of combustion is what? CO2 plus H2O. Plus
Mhm.
you have all the you know, other remnants of it.
Okay. Let's see. I would say so. I was gonna ask, what did you learn in high school and outside of high school? But I feel like that's pretty broad, so I'm probably gonna skip that question.
Well, okay. Well, I actually wanted to answer that. In high
Okay.
school, we kind of learned that in high school. Well, high school made everything seem easy. I can tell you one thing. You know, after being in the business for so many years, it is not easy. High school was like, you know, take this off, and everything is fine. No, it's not. You're always gonna run into problems. You're always gonna have a bolt that's rusted or something that's seized, something that you're gonna have to, you know, try to torch out or heat out or cut off or something. I kind of wish high school was a little too, it was a little too forgiving for us.
Okay.
So, I mean, I guess that's what we get for living, you know,
Yeah,
in the Midwest
definitely.
with the salt in these days.
So I'm gonna combine these two questions as well. The first question is, what would you have liked to learn in high school that you think would have helped in the field? And along with that, how can schools improve their efforts to equip students with the essential literacies of this field? So I feel like they kind of go together. What you're
Right.
missing and how high schools can work to make that better.
Well, high school, schools in general, well, high school mainly, it gave us more of a basic understanding of how everything works together and how to replace stuff. I wish it would have helped out with more, which I eventually picked up in the long run, was problem solving skills. You have somebody that comes in with an issue with their car, you need to figure out why the car's having that specific problem. If a customer comes in, you know, their chief complaint is, my car's making a noise, you're probably going to be sitting there for anywhere from a few minutes to a couple hours figuring out what that noise is. I wish, you know, I mean, problem solving skills is something that you can easily pick up on. For you know, for some people it's not. For me, it kind of, you know, it required me taking my basic understanding of cars, and you know, kind of, you know, you have the gears grinding in your head, like what could be wrong, what could be causing this. High school didn't really focus on that. So I kind of wish we worked a little bit more on problem solving and diagnostics, as to why we would have this problem. You know, focusing on the complaint, why we would have this problem, and what could be causing it and whatnot.
Okay.
What was the second part?
I think you got it. What would you like to learn in high school, and how can schools improve their efforts to equip students with the essential learning, or the essential literacies of this field? And then, just to finish up, because I don't want to go too over time. Also, are there literacy skills that entry-level members of this field have to learn in you, whether it be like an entry-level mechanic out of high school or trade school? Do you feel like any literacy skills that you would prefer, like if you had to choose two candidates?
Well, okay, so literacy, the more I think about it, yes, you have to be able to read and write and understand how everything works. But the best skill that you can get, or the best way for me to learn actually, as we know, sometimes a classroom can get boring, but the best way to learn is to actually get your hands dirty. Something with a hands-on experience, where you can actually turn a ratchet, you know, and see for yourself, take things apart, put them back together. You get a better understanding of how everything works. Personally, that's how I learned how brakes work. Because, you know, you're taking everything apart. It's like, oh, okay, this caliper squeezes this pad onto these rotors, and it makes it a lot easier to understand how everything works.
Makes sense. Kind of like how I like to. As you know, I'm in school to be a teacher, so how I like to do it in classroom is I like to kind of show a little bit of how the system works on like a PowerPoint presentation or on the board. And I like going outside, actually showing the students, like physically, like, oh, this is what we're talking about in the classroom, how everything works, and then I like going back into the classroom to show them again, because then they have a visual of it in their head, and then they see how it works. So yeah, that makes sense.
That's exactly how it should be done.
For sure. Awesome. Yeah, are there any other things you wanted to add? I know we're a little over time.
I mean, to anyone going into automotive teaching, you know, I wish you guys the best of luck. You know, give us some more car guys.
Yeah, for sure. And then, yeah, like I said, I'm gonna add the other things from the shadow. You know, I had a few other questions when we were shadowing, so I'll definitely add that as well.
Sure.
And then I'll send this to you. I'll send my project to you definitely when I'm done. I appreciate all the time. Thank you, sir.